Tonight, our first speaker is Korey. Help me welcome Korey.
I'm Korey. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to share my story with you guys. I'm going to get a timer so I know how long I got. All right, so my story, I guess, would start when I initially started drinking. I was a pretty young kid. Went to my first keg party. Went with my sister. I thought I'd be the guy that passes out drinks. That was my thing for the party. I was pretty young, and everybody else was kind of old, so I figured I'd get in somewhere where I fit in, and that was my place. So that's where I started the night. I ended up dipping into the alcohol myself at a pretty young age, and when I did that, I kind of got recognition from a lot of the older people that were there, and that was my first experience with feeling good about drinking. You know, it was an acceptance kind of thing. I kind of got encouraged. Heard a lot of good things. Oh, the little kid's drunk, he's doing, I was hanging out with the older kids, and it felt like a good thing at the time. And then that was also my first experience when I saw the negative effects of alcohol. By the end of the night, I was drunk, passed out, and not having any fun. So that was, my first big initial getting into alcohol. Didn't go very good, but that was my first experience. And from there, I had a lot more experience with alcohol. I regularly, hung out with people that drank more than their share, just to kind of feel like I wasn't doing anything out of the norm. Kind of felt normal if I was hanging out with 12 other people and we were all drunk together and we're all falling down by the end of the night, and that was kind of normal. That was my beginning to it. So the bad part about drinking for me was it opened the door for bigger things, getting in trouble. And I had a pretty good head on my shoulders most of the time, during the day. I start drinking, my inhibitions would go down. I'd kind of forget about the important things, and I would end up getting in trouble. And that was the big downfall of me drinking, was the things I would do when I was drunk. I wouldn't normally do when I was sober, and I didn't really know what I was doing. It's funny, I never really reflected on alcohol while I was doing it. The whole time I was drinking, I never really paid attention to how I was drinking or when I was drinking or if I was drinking too much. I've only began to recognize a lot of the stuff about alcohol now that I've been out of it for, my sobriety date is 12/14/14, so I've been sober for about 5 years now, a little bit more than that. And I'm barely starting to get a grip of what was going on. I got a little bit of an unorthodox approach to my sobriety. I actually got sober 4 years before coming into AA. I got sober for, we all have our own way of getting sober. Mine, I think, was the only way that I would have ever been able to get sober, was for different reasons. I started a business here in Prescott, and to be successful and to give myself, a little bit of hope, I quit drinking. That was why I quit drinking. I said, there's no way I'm going to ever make it in a successful business, if I'm drunk half the time. It's just not going to happen, And I seen other people fail. I worked for a big company in Phoenix, and my boss, he was an alcoholic, and I watched him go through trials and tribulations trying to run a business, trying to do it. For half the day you'd be sober and you'd be doing good, and then the rest of the day you'd be stumbling drunk and things wouldn't come out good. And so I learned a lot from him. So that was initially why I quit drinking. Dang, that timer didn't start. no idea when I started. All right, so initially I stopped drinking for a different reason, right? And I did pretty good. You know, I started my business, and you know, I did really good with not drinking. And you know, I think a lot of us that are alcoholics are real artistic people. I'm also an artistic person. That's what I do for a living. So you know, I get a lot of enjoyment out of. I build custom cars. So I was really into that. You know, and that really helped me. That's what I needed. I think we all have our own path. You know. But that was my path, and that's what initially got me sober. And I don't think anything else really could have got me sober. I don't think I would have done it for myself or for any other reason. That's what it took to get me sober. But you know, a good 4 years went by, and life kind of came back around, and it was still there. All the underlying issues, the reasons why I drank. You know, the childhood things that happened to me and the things I went through. I never really dealt with any of that stuff. I just would drink over it, you know. And when I quit drinking, that took the alcohol out of the equation, but it didn't fix any of my problems. So they were still all there. You know, I was doing good, I was successful, I was making money, but you know, money's not really everything. If you're not happy, you know, it doesn't really do much for you. So I was still at the point of being unhappy. So, you know, I knew something had to change. So I figured I'd give AA a try. Initially, when I came into AA, I walked in the door just to discredit it, because I was given the advice that I need to go to AA. I should try it. You know, I should give it a shot. And I kind of got tired of hearing that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to give it a shot. You know, I'm going to walk in the door, and then I'm going to walk out of the door. You know, at least I can tell these people that I tried it. And when I went to my first meeting, you know, I had a great time. I felt really welcomed. You know, I've never been around a bunch of people that have been so welcoming and nice and all on the same path. You know, a lot of the other people I've hung out with my entire life, we all got together and went down the wrong path. You know, so I'm used to that. I'm used to the camaraderie, but we were all headed in the wrong direction most of the time. So this is the first time I've met friends and, you know, different people that we were all on a good path. You know, we were all trying to do something together, positive, and that felt really good, you know, for the first time. So that made me stick around, you know, so I started coming back. I go to meetings regularly now. I enjoy them. I like going to meetings. It's kind of an odd thing. I would have never thought I'd have been there, you know. You asked me 10 years ago how this would have played out, you know, I would have never guessed it would have been like this, you know, and it would have started with me stopping drinking for a different reason, and then me still getting into the program somehow. That's all a miracle, you know. I can't think of any other thing that, you know, but miraculously things happened. And so I've been going to AA now for just about 9 months, maybe a little under a year. This is the first time I've spoke at one of these meetings, so that's all new for me. But you know, one of the things I learned in AA is, you know, to be open to new things, open to new ideas. Try to always say yes, you know, and that's all new to me too. So that's what leads me in the right direction, is just being open, being willing. You know, the programs, the way it's written it's pretty simplistic. I mean, if all you got to be is willing. I mean, that's pretty easy as far as I'm concerned. Some of the stuff I've been through, being just willing, that's a no-brainer, you know what I mean? So I have no idea when I should stop talking here, really. Yeah. So this says 10:21. I think that was at least 10 minutes. So appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for listening to my story.